Yes people, welcome back to AJ Cars. So today we're going to be doing a little video with tips and tricks on how to get cheap insurance for young drivers, especially with modified cars, but the video doesn't matter, it still counts even without modifications. So I've just renewed my insurance on the M140. It's my second year insuring the M140. It's my first full year. I got lucky, to be fair. I thought it was going to be through the roof, but I ended up paying £945, I think it was, for the full year. That's exhaust declared, everything declared. That's with Admiral, and I'm quite a big fan of Admiral. I've just renewed my second year. I had the renewal quote come through at £1,250 or something stupid for an extra year of driving, and I'll mention this for later down the line on how I reduced it down, but I ended up getting it for £915, fully declared, fully comprehensive. So yeah, it worked out really good.
So guys, for me, I'm also with Admiral, same as John, just out of pure coincidence. Personally, I think Admiral's a very good insurer, because not just for young people but for older people. Like John said, we'll say later on in the video of why they're better, because joining accounts, it will help a lot. Admiral are very good for that. So with mine, because of the two cars I had before and how long I've been driving, I've only been driving now for, this is my third year, but the first year I hadn't actually had a car, well, I insured my car, so I didn't get a no claims discount for that year. So mine at the moment is still pretty high. I did bring it down a lot because I actually had an insurance quote for this car at, I think it was £6,000. 6 fucking grand for this car. So I was like, no, fuck that. I'd already bought the car at this point, I was just insuring it. So I went through loads of different ways of doing it, went to independent insurance companies, which is probably a very good thing to do, and I actually got mine down. Still extremely expensive for a person my age. Mine was actually £1,800, but there is obviously different ways of, mine was gone from £6,000 to £1,800. That's a big difference, and that can save you a lot.
And you think of only driving 3 years as well,
yeah,
and 2 years, no claims. And I see at Leon Cooper are very rare car, so yeah,
on a big difference. So these tips and tricks will help you drop yours. It won't necessarily be cheap, because in my case it wasn't cheap, but it will bring it down a lot.
So the first point, and the thing that's reduced my insurance massively, is I think we all just use comparison websites, go compare the market, Money Supermarket, things like that, because that's what everyone does. Whereas, and the quotes, they've come back good before, they have, but the best thing I can advise, part of personal choice, and I know Alex feels the same, is if you call up the insurers and get a quote over the phone, I guarantee it will be cheaper than you get on a comparison website.
Comparison sites give you like a brief overview. They'll give you the insurers that allow them to be on that comparison sites, because not all insurance companies are on comparison sites. You have to be allowed to be on there. So a lot of the people on the comparison sites, they're mega money because they're on the comparison sites. You have the independent companies that aren't on there that will drop it massively. So like John said, comparison sites, use them as a rough idea of what the insurance is, and then call up them companies. Yeah, but do not get an insurance quote off them. Don't accept an insurance quote off a comparison.
And that lasts that's not just for new policies. This is for renewals as well. So using an example, and we can both say this works definitely for Admiral. My insurance quote came through 1,200, the top end of 1,200, so like pushing £1,300. I called them and instantly they applied discounts over the phone. They helped me reduce it down, and then they gave me a quote for £960, and I still ended up getting it cheaper than that, which I'll explain in my next point about how I did that. But definitely call up.
Admiral did the same with me.
Yeah, I saved like instantly like £350 just by calling up.
I did an online quote with Admiral, and it came up, I think it was £3,300, and then that's just like the online quote.
They have discounts they can apply. Like
if you phone them, you're actually speaking to someone. You're not doing it from a robot.
No help.
Just generic results. If you speak to someone, they'll give you discounts and they'll drop it.
So that's the first point. Definitely. I know some people don't like calling, especially younger people. They can get a bit scared on the phone. But yeah, definitely call them
if you want to save some money. Call them. So the next point would be the details you put into the insurance company. So we're not saying be fraudulent, because if you lie on it, you're going to get done for it, especially if you have a crash and they check your insurance policy.
They do anything to get out of it. Think about it. If you hurt someone and it was a personal injury claim, or just you fucked your car, then they're going to, an insurance company that's potentially going to be paying out £10,000–15,000 are going to do anything they can to get out of it.
Yeah, they're going to get every last penny out of you, every last reason to make you pay up. So you need to be careful with what details you put in. If you're not going to be 100% truthful, not exactly lie, but
you can bend the rule. You not bend it a little bit, but you can
kind of, yeah. Things like where you live, you can't change that. If you live somewhere, you can't change your address. That's the address, and that does play a big part. Wherever you live, different areas, it will be more expensive, but you can't change that. But you can change things like where you work. If you work somewhere, but there is different job roles within your workplace that apply to you, you can
try them. Just try them.
Tweak it a little bit. So with mine, I work for a body repair shop, so I fix cars.
But you also, it's not all you do.
Within that trade, there's a lot of different things you can put in. I put in a vehicle engineer because I strip and fit cars. But if I put a stripper and fitter,
the quote will differ.
It differs massively. It put my insurance up a lot, especially in the motor trade. Your insurance will always be higher in the motor trade for some apparent reason. I don't know why. But if you just tweak about with your job role, it will change it. You're not exactly lying, because I'm not lying on my insurance with my job, because that's what I do. It's just under a different name. So do insurance quotes on the comparison sites, put in different details that apply to you, and then when you found the right combination of job role, where you live, also where you park your car, a lot of comparison sites, if you go and compare the market,
where you leave it overnight,
yeah, it will say where do you leave your car at night and where do you leave your car in the day. If you put your car on the drive and then
sometimes in the garage,
in the day you're at a secure public car park, it will change it. But if you put it on the side of the road, or you put it in an unsecure car park, which some people will, they'd never know whether you park it there or not. It will change it, because
and they don't expect you to park it there every single night on the dock, because you're away sometimes. And we're not saying, we are definitely not saying lie on your policy. We are saying
you can't.
No, you can't. Let's end it off. But you can try and just play around with things. Like obviously it's up to you what you do, but play around with things. So just to carry on from my first point about calling the insurance, if you live in the same household with someone, you can always try, I've seen it advertised, multi-car cover, where insurers, especially Admiral, will give you big discounts for living at the same address with someone and being on almost the same policy. So definitely inquire about that, because overall with me and my girlfriend, we live at the same address. We in totality saved around £800 this renewal, which is absolutely insane, considering our in quotes would have been £1,900 for both of us, and we ended up paying just over £1,000 for both of us for the whole year, which is absolutely insane. I always thought these things were a con, but definitely inquire about it. So another point to reduce your insurance or try and get cheaper insurance, or another thing to play around with as well, is additional drivers. So a lot of people will add their parents on, but we both have before, which massively reduces your policy in some instances. This time I was always under the impression, if I had loads of old people with loads of no claims, is going to bring it down, when in fact I added someone who I know who's a driving instructor, and it sent my policy through the roof. So it definitely isn't always the case that additional drivers will reduce your policy, but definitely play around with things, because there's so many factors that go into it
as well. Because if you put, let's say you live with your parents, your mum and your dad, and you're trying to insure your car because it's really expensive and you're a new driver, if you put your dad on there, I can guarantee you it won't drop it much. But if you put your mum on there, it will drop it.
And it's just the way insurance works. It's not,
essentially, with an insurance company, you're just a number. They don't care about the details, the majority
so
of the
many
details.
different factors as well.
If you put a woman as an added driver, I can bet my life it will drop it more than if you put a bloke on there. I don't know why.
That's not the way we talk, it's the insurance.
Yeah, I think it's purely for the fact that insurance companies work off numbers, and men typically crash their car more. So if you're putting your dad on there and he might have 20 years no claims, but your mum's on there and she's got 20 years no claims, I can bet you now the woman will drop it more than the man, and that is purely off numbers for the insurance companies, because that's how they work. You're purely a number. And also, if you're young and you're a lad like us and you've got your heart set on a Corsa, you need to expect that insurance to be very, very high, because as I said, you're just a number. So Corsas are notorious for being crashed by young boys, racing boys. So on an insurance company, their numbers will be Corsa, 17-year-old lad, right at the top, because they're guaranteed to, not guaranteed, but your chances are you're probably going to crash that car because you're being stupid. Whereas
that's the way the insurance company.
That's just how they work. But if you're a boy and you want to drive a Fiat 500, not many people would, but like a standard Fiat 500 as a girl's car, which is not, it's typically a girl's car.
You know the memes and stuff, yeah.
I can guarantee you it'll be a lot lower, because they're not crashed very often. But a Corsa or even a Polo or a Golf, they're all crashed.
Yeah, it's the car plays a big part as well.
The car plays a massive part, so pick your cars wisely. And obviously your age, it matters a lot. If you're 17 and you want to drive a Corsa,
modifications as well. Like,
and if you want
definitely, this is me personally, and Alex, I know it feels this way. If you've got modifications, there's no other option. Just declare them, because you know, like we both do, and yeah, we both declare our mods, which I know some people don't, and it's a risky game, man. Like we said before, if you crash and they've got mods.
If you've got undeclared mods on an insurance policy and you crash your car, and because you're young and you can't afford to pay for the repairs privately, and you have to go through insurance, they're going to inspect your car with, like, they're going to seriously inspect your car. So if you crash your Corsa, I'm not just digging out Corsa, but let's say you have a Corsa and you lower it, you put a spoiler on the back, you've got bigger wheels, they're going to spot all of that because it's all in your logbook. You've got the wheel size in your logbook. So if you've got 18-inch wheels and you've got 90s on there and you crash your car and you haven't declared that, your insurance policy is now invalid. It will invalidate your policy and you'll have to pay the whole lot. So be careful with what you modify, and especially declare it. Declare it with everything you've got, because you're in for a world of shit. If you crash your car and you've got undeclared modifications on your car, you're in for a world of pain, because there's no way of getting out of it.
Another big thing is when your policy's coming up for renewal, do it as far in advance as you possibly can. So I know most insurance companies say, I think they let you do on comparison websites. I know we keep referring to them, but it's just the way you start off and then you call them.
It's like a ballpark figure.
Yeah, it's a ballpark figure. So 30 days, I'm pretty sure they allow you to do it. On that 30th day, get a quote done, and then we're going to move on to the next point, because what about how to keep reducing this and how to not let the insurance companies get you if you are doing multiple quotes. But yeah, that's the point, is do it as early as you possibly can, because they know that you're going to be searching around, whereas if you leave it till the last minute, they're going to be able to sting you with a high price.
Which is what I did. I was flapping about my car because I wasn't sure if I was going to buy it on the day, and my old insurance policy ran out on the 4th. So what my plan was to do was to insure my car for the 5th of March. So when I buy the car, I can literally just leave it at home and drive it the next day. But I didn't know whether I was going to buy the car at that, like, within a week. So I was looking at insurance quotes and I was getting about 1,400. And then because I wasn't sure if I was buying the car,
fucking hell, move.
Take your fucking time, darling. But yeah, I actually left mine till 2 days before, because I was guaranteed to buy it. I'd sent in the money, I was ready to buy it, but because I'd left it until 2 days before, my insurance actually went up by £300 because I waited that long. Like John said, if you do it far in advance, you're going to get the cheapest option you can. The longer you leave it, the more expensive it's going to be. So just keep that in mind.
In addition to that, about doing the quote earliest, and what I was going to go on to is make sure you're refreshing your history and you're turning cookies off, because like in the current world we live in, this technology, they track you with everything. They know you're going to be searching for insurance quotes, and they're going to gradually keep bumping that price up the more you look. I know it's happened to me. I've been searching for quotes, and from now on I use different devices. I use private browser, I use clear my cookies, I clear my history, just because they track you, and you know, you can, it's just another way to try and reduce that price. Because sometimes, I've done it before, is one day I've had a £950 quote and I thought, oh, I'll try tomorrow. The next day it's £1,300 and I'm like, what? So yeah, definitely just clear your history, use different devices, use different browsers, and just keep trying it. So there's a few insurers that we personally would recommend just to try out. You know, they're very good for modified cars, and they're also been good to us with declaring mods, being young drivers with like quite high performance cars. So obviously, firstly, I always recommend Admiral, because they're really good. They've been really good to me. I've been with them for ages now, and they hardly charge you anything to add mods. Like, I literally added my exhaust and they charged me just a £9 admin fee. There's also Adrian Flux, who are really good as well. But like, I'm pretty sure you have to call them, but they're good for modified car insurance. I'm pretty sure as well they view people who modify their car as caring more about their car, so they'll usually give you a lower quote. There's people like A-Plan, Pace Ward, and then also you have, like Alex talked about, a load of independent like specialist insurers who, you know, you can try and just try them.
One thing to note though, with specialist insurers, what are you doing? With specialist insurers, like, not comparison site companies, but the independent ones, if you're going with a modified insurer, chances are you need to be a bit older. So I phoned a couple, because I'm 20 years old, a lot of them didn't even sniff at me because I wasn't 21 at the time. So I think a few of them off the top of my head, I think Sky Insurance, not like Sky's in the sky we all know, but like an independent called Sky Insurance. With my last two cars, I went with an insurance company called Carrot Insurance. Now, they are on comparison sites, and it might not sound like the best insurance company, but they are very, very cheap. So, but they don't allow modifications on your car. They're purely like a black box insurance company. So if you're a first time driver and you've got a car and it's really expensive, but you don't want a black box, chances are you're going to be spending a lot of money. I'd recommend, as your first car, maybe the first 2 years that you're having your cars, have a black box, because you're going to get caned on the insurance. So I did it, first 2 years I had a car, I had a black box. I didn't enjoy it, but you have to do it. So Carrot Insurance, one, they are a black box insurance, but they are very cheap, so keep that company in mind. And all the ones John said, you need to just phone them, play about with them, find your cheapest quote, find the one that's best for you in your area, because area plays a big part in it, crime rates, everything. So just play about with it.
Yeah guys, but to wrap the video up, mainly, like we've said, we've given you most of these tips, and please, if you have any other tips, or you're watching this video and you thought, oh, they've not talked about this, they've not talked about this, drop it down below, because this is what we're trying to do, help each other. We're all trying to get cheaper insurance, it saves us all money. So yeah, drop it below. But we want to reiterate, the main thing is, insurance is extremely personal. Like, in terms of, it's a lot about you, it's a lot about who you add, it's a lot about the car, it's a lot about the modifications, the crime rate, the area, it's the insurance category.
Even the fact that you're a boy or a girl.
Yeah, there's so many things it comes down to, and so many factors that play a part. Hopefully these tips will help you get and reduce that insurance price, but at the end of the day, you know, you just got to play around with things, and it's so important that you do, and it's very personal, like we say. But yeah, if we've got any more information that you can let us know about, or we've not talked about, please drop it down below. We really appreciate all your support, and we'll catch you in the next video.